Hey, what's going on, guys? Heads here from Infinity Loops, and welcome back. Today we take a look at Happymodel's new HDZero Mobula6 ECO. Before we jump into the review, let me first extend a thank you to Happymodel and HDZero for sending this out to us to give us a chance to check it out and give our thoughts on it. Now, if you were to just look at the Mobula6 ECO compared to the Mobula6 2024 edition, you'll see a lot of similarities there. For one, you're going to see the same frame, just in a different color. You're going to see the same propellers. You're also going to see the same 28,000 kV 0702 motors. It also runs the same canopy in a different color, as well as an A30 plug. Now, where we start to notice some differences between the two builds is first going to be in the flight controller. The SuperX ELRS is the one that comes on the Mobula6 2024 edition, but the Mobula6 ECO comes equipped with the SuperX HD, which is a 1-2S 12 amp ELRS 3 on board. No VTX on board on this SuperX, which would be the difference, probably the main difference between this one and the SuperX ELRS. The intentions with this flight controller being that you would run it with an HD digital VTX as opposed to the onboard analog that the SuperX ELRS comes with. Now to the meat and potatoes of this build, the ECO by HDZero. This is their new VTX camera combo, which takes advantage of the HD composite video signal, so you're not going to see a MIPI cable connecting your VTX to your camera on this build. All told, with the VTX, the camera, the wiring, and the antenna, this whole package comes out to 6.3 grams. At $69.99 for the price, that's not too bad for an HD VTX camera, cables, and antenna. The VTX can run anywhere from 1 to 3S input, and it will do 25 and 200 milliwatts. The last thing I'd want to mention about the ECO package is that the camera is 4x3, at least this one that we're going to be using today with this build. I'm not sure if there's going to be any other options available later on for this, but as far as this one is concerned that comes with the kit, this is 4x3 only. All told, this bind and fly comes to 23.1 grams. That's without a battery. With the battery, I was running the WeBleed 300 milliamp BT 2.0 batteries. That was coming out to 31.8 grams. Speaking of, while running that WeBleed 300 milliamp LiPo, I was able to get roughly 2 to 2.5 minute flight times, and that's with some usable power. I took some hovers around the house just very slowly, didn't pass about 40% throttle, never drew more than around 5 amps and some change, and I was able to get almost 3.5 minutes of flight time then, but again, I was just kind of cruising. So if you were looking to do something like that with that HDZero on board, you can look to about 3.5 minutes of usable flight time. Okay, now I'm really done talking. Let's get into that flight footage. We'll talk again after. Enjoy. First thing I should mention is that right when I took mine out of the box, I did notice that one of the arms of the canopy had come loose. It had slipped over the screw head that had been holding it there. I know Nick Burns has mentioned this to me, and I imagine he will mention it in his video as well, that this build could use some larger headed screws for the canopy. Just in general, the screws that they used are just barely bigger than the holes that are in the canopy, so a good enough crash, I was able to bump this tab off of the screw a couple times, so I finally just put a fat screw head in there myself, and it's been great ever since. Besides putting in a bigger screw head, another remedy that I found after digging around a little bit was that the orientation of my VTX is actually different from the promotional pictures that I saw of this whoop. In the pictures that I saw, it actually looks like the way they have it oriented was perfect. I put one plug just underneath, but it wasn't in the way, it wasn't obstructing the screw, and I put the other one on the back side where it was completely out of the way of those two arms of the canopy. So I'm not sure if that caused other issues elsewhere. I couldn't actually rotate mine. I tried taking it apart and rotating it, but without having to desolder it from the board and add on a little longer wires connecting it to the flight controller, I just wouldn't be able to rotate it. If yours comes with both of those white plugs just staring straight forward, you might want to consider rotating the VTX itself just to get that plug out from underneath that arm. It just takes a lot of the tension off of the canopy as well as off of that screw head there. The tune on this is pretty mid. I was able to fly around the house just fine and race around real fast just fine. Power loops, trippy spins, matty flips. You know, you can do all the fun tricks and all that. It's fine. It'll catch itself. But I don't know if it's the tune necessarily, or maybe it's the weight to power ratio. We are working with those 702 motors with 23 grams of weight, so it's not ideal for 0702s, but I mean, obviously it's doable, but it's not ideal. There are a few little opportunities to lose some weight on this build that I noticed, like for instance, the motor plugs are all still intact on this build, unlike the 2024 edition where they were soldered on. So you could just remove the plugs and save a little bit of weight right there. Now, with the negatives out of the way, I should also mention that I do still consider this to be probably the best 1S 65mm HDZero bind and fly whoops available currently. Now, the word that I heard is that when this releases, which should be today, this is going to be $150 for the bind and fly. If that is the case, and it does remain at $150 for this bind and fly, that price is stellar to me. Just for comparison, there is a new newbie drone HDZero 65 1S Acroby, I think, that is in development. It's not released yet, so I mean the price could always change. But I think even to get the development version was like $180 or something. So this is the final version, and if it remains at $150, that price is really hard to beat. So even though I'm not a huge fan of 65mm in general with how they fly, I still consider this to be probably one of the better 65mm out there right now. The Mobula6 2024 edition, bind and fly wise, I don't know that you can beat that as far as the weight overall, the powertrain that runs. Once you get it tuned in and locked in nice to how you like it, that thing is a beast. So throwing on a lightweight HDZero option, it's not a horrible idea, but I can't wait to see 75mm version. A Mobula6 ECO would be insane. I would love to see that. Really, it's all small changes that I would recommend on this. There's nothing earth-shattering like just the complete wrong motors or the complete wrong flight controllers on here. It's just a matter of kind of just tinkering and tweaking things and getting it to fly just right. And again, that might just be a personal thing. You may open yours and absolutely love the way that it flies. Also, please keep in mind that everything you saw in this video was on a pre-release version of this bind and fly. So what you get when you buy the final version may be different than what I have here. All these problems may be resolved already, may be completely worthless to talk about any of it. But either way, now you know my opinion, and I would love to know yours. What do you think of the new Mobula6 ECO by Happymodel? Let me know in the comments section down below. Any other questions you may have, I'll make sure to get to them ASAP. Until next time, take care of yourselves, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.